Hello everyone, it's Isabella here and welcome back to another episode of Angel Talks. So today's episode, we are going to be talking about something that I am very passionate about. So this episode was actually inspired by a comment that I got, and this comment said, I forgot what video it was on. I don't know. I can't remember. I have too many comments that are in my mind that I'm like, I see or I miss or I try and remember. And anyways, this comment though specifically said, what do you do while you're eating alone and going on a solo date? And I was like, I actually need to make a video about solo dating and what to do and how to make it fun and ideas, right? Like, we need inspiration because I feel like it's pretty damn easy to think of dates when it comes to another person, and especially when another person's involved and what they like is involved. I feel like for me personally, it's easier to work with and adjust. Like if somebody is like, oh my God, I love the outdoors and I really like wine, I'm like, oh, we're going to a vineyard, babe. Like I will plan everything super cool. But when it comes to ourselves, sometimes I feel like we either overthink it or we kind of blank. Like we don't know where to start when it comes to dating or self-dating. We don't know how to get going with it, and we don't know how to not make it like awkward. You know what I mean? And I want everyone who is coming here, I want everyone to know how to make self-dating fun and something that you actually look forward to. So I'm going to talk about everything that I've been doing when it comes to self-dating, taking myself out, doing all of these fun things, right? Because I want everyone to have great experiences, and you can literally enjoy so much in life through dating yourself. And I think it is so important to do things for you, because honestly, what inspired me to start with the idea of taking myself out on a date, now originally I thought it was really stupid, but it inspired me because I actually realized there was a lot of things that I didn't know about myself. Like I was so focused on other people's wants and needs that it morphed into what I wanted and / needed, which it was like not real, but you know what I mean? Like I was more preoccupied and caring about what someone else wanted so much that I literally forgot entirely about what I wanted and what I needed and what I enjoyed. And I took this as an opportunity to be like, okay, I have myself here and I am going to take myself out on dates and figure out what I truly enjoy. Not because someone else is there, not because I have someone who I am trying to quote unquote keep happy, which we are not doing anymore, by the way. I'm not trying to be the source of someone else's fucking happiness. Ew. They can find their happiness on their own, and so can I. But I wanted to make sure I knew myself well, because I felt like the self-dating world, this was going to end up helping me in the actual dating world, because knowing myself so well, knowing my wants, my likes, my dislikes, would allow it to where I have a strong foundation to where I can clearly differentiate when it comes to what someone else loves and then what I truly love. And I don't mix anything up so much to where I morph into becoming the person that I'm with. You know what I mean? And so I wanted to make sure I had that clear foundation. And I also just wanted to have fun with just me. I wanted to take this as a challenge to learn to enjoy time on my own and my own presence. So let's start talking about that. So first of all, let's get into figuring out what you're going to do, right? So for me, for example, I was kind of like, okay, how do I start off small with this? And so my version of small was finding a shop or a store that I really liked and spending some more time there. Okay. So for example, I started off with going to a coffee shop by myself working. Now, that might sound really stupid, like, oh my God, everyone does that. Not everyone does that, right? There's certain people with different anxieties, social anxieties, you name it, right? So I kind of liked starting that because it wasn't as an intimidating atmosphere. Like, for example, it's easier to start off with going to a coffee shop and working a little bit alone by yourself on your laptop, whatever the case may be. It's a little easier to do that versus going out to like a bar completely by yourself and like everyone is like trying to talk to everyone, right? And I mean, you might be offered a free drink and you're like, oh shit, I need, like, you know, those kinds of things, right? It's intimidating. Or if you go out by yourself, sometimes there's more people that are, again, trying to socialize, and they might be more aware of their surroundings, and you might be like, oh my God, they're going to be aware that I'm alone. And that's a lot, right? So starting off small, I think, is really key. Planning everything out. So as someone who gets very anxious when it comes to dates or even taking myself out, I'm a huge planner. So for example, if I'm going to go out on a date with someone, I need to know the menu beforehand. I look that shit up, right? I need to know the parking. I will get there early so that way I can park. So that way I'm not frantically trying to find a spot and all of it, okay? I have to scope out exactly what's happening that night, what's going on. Do that exact same thing when it comes to planning your dates. So pick something that is not horribly intimidating for you and a comfort area for you. So again, if you're like, oh, I like going out to coffee, I like having kind of a moment to myself, then bring your damn laptop or your phone and just read a book. Again, you can read a bunch on the internet, okay? Don't get me wrong. But bring a book or do something like that and go get yourself a coffee and just find something that's not super duper intimidating. Or maybe you really, really like the idea of a painting class, right? Like you want to go to a painting class and you can hear instructions from someone and maybe you can, strike up some casual conversation with people around you, but you can do it completely on your own by yourself. Another thing I want to talk about is if you know that there's areas that have more people that are prone to going alone, I would highly recommend doing that. So again, I personally have noticed like painting classes, I've seen a lot of people go completely by themselves and have loved it. And so I don't feel as alone when I see other people doing things alone too, which is really interesting. Painting class, going to the coffee shop, those kinds of things, you see more people that are kind of by themselves doing their own thing. So it's not as intimidating because I feel like what kind of holds us back when it comes to solo dating or like going out and doing things alone is the thought of, what if someone looks at me and like thinks I'm weird for being alone by myself? And yes, there's gonna be some people like that, okay? Because there's always gonna be some goofy ass person anywhere you go, right? You cannot avoid that, but you can ease yourself into getting comfortable with that concept, right? And if there's more people that are doing things alone in the area that you're going, you're gonna not feel as alone because other people are doing it as well, right? So I think initiating doing those things is a really great way to get started and inch your way into doing things alone and not feeling so awkward. And then another thing I would recommend is setting like a time limit, right? So you can set a time limit. So at the end of the day, you're like, okay, I've been here a good amount of time, I'm done, right? And so you can set up the time limit, like let's say you want to go out and it's like an hour-long painting class. Your entire schedule is filled up, right? So there's no awkwardness. You're focusing on the painting. Or if you are going to go to the coffee shop and work, right? You can go and you're like, okay, this is the amount of time I want to work. I can finish up my coffee and then I'm done. So that way you can fill up your time that you're out. One thing I'm going to encourage though is accepting that there's going to be some awkward moments in silence when it comes to you being on your own. And I think people fear that a lot because they're scared of where their mind's going to take them. And I'm going to be honest, I have been there, done that. And so that's why I like starting off with busy, short dates because I felt like it did something for me and it wasn't too intimidating. Now, I feel like with solo dating, it's like baby steps and progressing your way through and doing things on your own is a progress. So I would start off small and then slowly inch your way into things that are more intimidating. Now, again, I want to get this out of the way. This is going to vary per person, right? This may not be the approach for you. This may not be something that you like. You may not like completely pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and that is valid. I don't know you personally. I can't know everyone that views, right? So take what you want from this and what is going to work for you, okay? Because again, my advice is not going to always work for everyone. So a big thing that I have come to realize is I know I needed to slowly push my way into awkwardness and get my foot in the door with the things that made me uncomfortable because I realized it was really going to help me get better. Like I know even I actually made an episode where I talked about my content creator journey and how literally the biggest reason why I started making content was because I used Instagram as a way of getting myself out there because I realized in order to build my confidence and not feel so scared of other people seeing me and being scared of people not liking me or whatever the case may be, I need to push myself out there to be proud of what I'm doing, so much to the point of where nobody else's perspectives matter. And so with the going out on dates, there's still aspects of it that I am highly intimidated by. I would like to make very clear. But I have pushed myself into some of these awkward positions because it has allowed me to deal with them head on and learn how to work with them as I go. And then at the end of the night, day, morning, whatever the case may be, I can reflect and know how to make it better and how to work with the awkwardness better. So, for example, the next thing that I kind of started doing was going out to eat by myself. Now, again, that's like really fucking intimidating, okay? It is. And it feels odd because usually when you go out, of course, you're like with friends, you're with family, you're like with somebody, or if you go out to eat or whatever, you go through a drive-through and you're able to be in your car in silence and play music. But the idea of going into a restaurant, oh my God, someone's going to be like, that poor person is by themselves. It is not as weird as society, I feel like, has made it to be. So one thing I would like to say is if you're going to go out on a date, again, know what you're going to get. You can be more familiar with the area. Just make your pre-prepping and planning so that way you can make it as comfortable of a transition as possible. If you want, you can start off with like midday dates. So you can go during times maybe that are going to be less busy, which is honestly really, really helpful. However, I'm going to be honest, I threw myself in on like a Friday night, right? I went to a restaurant that I had been to before, which I recommend. I went to because I already had been inside. I knew where the bathroom was. Like, it wasn't weird for me. I was like, okay, I know where I'm going to go. I know where I'm going to sit. I know the menu. I know the parking. I know majority of it. Now I just have to go and enjoy my time. So I went and I was able to pick out the location, and I went up to the bar. I ordered a drink, which I recommend doing. And one thing I would like to say is have conversations with the people that are working there. I literally love having conversations with the bartender, for example, or whoever is like my waiter, just to have kind of like fun and just engage with somebody. I feel like it adds to it. So for example, I would be like, oh my gosh, hey, like, I don't know what kind of drink I want. Do you have any recommendations? And I'd be like, oh, surprise me. And I would try and go back and forth with making this like a fun surprise experience for myself. So I would have conversations, I would laugh, I would try and work on my communication skills. But of course, after that and getting my drink and being at the bar and there's a bunch of other people around me, now you're at the point where it's like, okay, there are some silence and it's a little awkward and I'm just quietly eating my meal and like I'm not having a screen in front of me. Like it's a little different. So a couple things I want to say. You can, one, bring like a book, have your phone. You can do that and kind of have a plan of things that you want to look at and do on your phone. Or again, literally read, which I have done before, and it's perfectly fine. You can literally get lost in a book while eating. I love doing that. Or you can take on the silence head on and work with it, because I realized I was overthinking the awkwardness when it came to eating by myself, because for me, I was like, I eat by myself at my house all the time. Like, I live alone, okay? It's no different, but there's a bunch of people around me and we're so scared of what other people are thinking. And I had to really, again, deconstruct my thoughts and be like, why am I scared of this? Like, what is so terrifying and what's going to hurt me? That's the first thing I had to get out of the way. What is going to hurt me? Nothing, not a damn thing. No one in there had a bad intention when it comes to like looking at me or saying hi to me or just anything about me. There was nothing. A lot of people were involved in their own world, having conversations with their partners, their friends, family, etc. They didn't give a shit about me, okay? And then even if someone asked me, for example, if I was out alone, I'd be like, I'm going to be confidently saying I am out on a solo date. And it was good. But again, not everyone, like there's not going to be a bunch of people usually that are just going to be bombarding you with like talking to you, right? And so you can either take on the silence head on or strike up conversations with fellow people around you, and it works really well. But I recommend working on accepting the silence because, like I said earlier, I feel like a lot of people are very scared of silence because they don't know what it's going to bring, and it's awkward. And for me, I'm used to noise. I have music and everything playing in the background all the time. And being in silence is interesting. And so what I like to do with that silence, though, is I take time to reflect. And might not make sense now, but reflecting over your day, morning, week, whatever, baby, that takes up time, okay? If you are someone like me who is known for, how do I say this, not shutting the up, okay? You have lots of things to say and think about. You can do the same thing with you, okay? You totally can. So while you're getting your meal, go through and mentally think about, how was your week? Like, genuinely, how was your week? How was your week going, Bella? What did you do? Did you really feel good most days? Did you not feel good most days? What is something you're really proud of yourself for? Did you get everything done that you wanted to? If you didn't, what happened that made it change? How are your relationships, work relationships, friendships? Is there something maybe you really want to do that you haven't done in a while that you just remembered? Like, start writing things down even in your notes app and just reflect, because honestly, the way your mind can absolutely run and you won't even realize that you're in your own mind and in your own world eating and enjoying your time of reflecting. I really think it's a game changer. It has helped me immensely to just sit there and be like, all right, this is my time to internally reflect and hang out with me. Because for me, when you're out on dates, of course, you're talking, you're getting to know them. You're like, how's your day? How's your week? What's going on? You're figuring things out about you. And with that and reflecting, you're literally kind of reconnecting with like, hey, okay, let's do a little self check-in. How are we doing? Is this week going good? Is our mental health okay? What are some things that we can work on? Like all of these things. And you can kind of realize good or bad emotions and feelings. And then you can kind of talk yourself through it in a way. Now, that sounds really deep, and I know that's a lot, and not everyone wants to do that, but I feel like the self-reflecting can be such a healthy and positive way to check in and make sure that you're doing good. Make sure that you don't need anything specifically, because maybe with that self-reflection, what that could do, you might just be like, actually, I'm really, really tired. I'm going to cut this night short and I'm going to go home and just go to bed. Like, why not? Or, you know what? I'm kind of feeling a little unloved right now. I'm kind of feeling a little off. Then you can find the sources for that and find ways to counter it. So, for example, I actually will do this here and there where I'll be like, I don't feel really good. And I actually talked about this in my Valentine's Day video. I talked about how because of the Valentine's Day celebrations, I had a real moment, and I was honest about this, about how I was like, damn, like, I wish I had someone that I was just absolutely in love with and they were in love with me and we could do all these things and it would be great. And then I was like, okay, but I can give all those things to myself. What I'm craving is that kind of affection and love, but I actually can get that myself. And so that's why I was like, I'm going to buy myself some flowers. I'm going to do some really nice things for myself and take myself out on a date, because I knew that's what I wanted and I wanted to enjoy that fun time. And so reflecting, I feel like, can help you problem solve in many other ways. And dude, it takes up some damn time. Some of y'all do not want to do that though, and I get it. So bring a book, have your phone ready, do something like that. Dude, honestly, have apps, games, and shit on your phone. I don't care how cheesy that is. I don't care. You can't tell me that you haven't fallen down the rabbit hole of playing a game on your phone. Candy Crush? Be for real. You've played that before. Tetris? I don't care. Solitaire? Oh, I'm a menace on that game, dude. I'm just telling you right now. You've got things. There is a multitude of things, and being alone is not weird. It's not awkward. It's not goofy. You can find ways to fill up your space and your time while being alone. And that's also why I'm very adamant about, if you're new to this, planning out how long you're going to be out, so that way you know how much time that you need to fill to make it fun. And then the more that you do this, the more you're going to become so used to it. You're going to be so used to the silence. You're going to be used to engaging with other people. And for me personally, it has improved so much in me. For example, I don't feel really as awkward as I used to be, like walking alone from one place. You know what I'm talking about. If you're like by yourself and you're walking along the street or something, and sometimes you're like, do I look awkward? Do I look kind of goofy as hell? After a while, you're like, I don't fucking care even if I did. Like, who cares? I am walking to point A, point B. Half the time, people are not paying attention to me as much as I probably think that they are. And I'm just living my own damn life. And then also, it has improved my communication so much better. The way I can strike up conversations with anyone. Like, I know earlier I mentioned how I had a solo date and there was some people next to me, and I literally just had a conversation with them because they were like, hey, really random, but like, are you like out doing your own thing by yourself? And I was like, oh yeah, totally. He's like, oh, is it like a self-date thing? And I was like, yes, it is. Oh my God. And so they were like, that's super cool. And so I like introduced myself, and there was a couple next to me. And so I was like, oh my God, how long have you guys been together? They're like, this is our second date. I'm like, no shit. Oh my gosh, congratulations. And like, we were all just like casually joking around about like the drink that we got, how like they met. And like, I struck up a conversation with random ass strangers, completely random. And so then after that, you know, we said our goodbyes, we kept doing our thing. totally fine. Or even with the waiter or bartender, like I would strike up random conversations, and I feel like it got me so much better at being a like vocal and like engaging with people, because I learned so much about people, and just being nice and holding conversations. It is just a really good habit, and it also truly, I think, adds to like the avoiding the awkward silence stuff, because you're engaging with other people, and all of these things collectively build up really good habits. And not only is this solo dating stuff helpful for you, but damn, it is helpful like for personal growth, but damn, it is also helpful for all these other little things that we don't even realize. Now, okay, let's talk about this. So we've already figured out planning tips, how to work with awkward silence, all that. Let's talk about preparation though. So again, I briefly talked about this in the Valentine's Day video that I made like a couple weeks ago, but I'm all about going all out when it comes to self-dating, because we go nuts when it comes to going on a date, right? We pick out a pretty outfit, we get all done up, we do whatever we want to do that makes us feel good to present to a date. That is exactly what a lot of us do. And I think that we kind of forget that we should probably be doing stuff like that and go the extra mile for ourselves. Like, it is exciting to go out with yourself. You're going to do something that you want to do, right? You're not going to be interrupted. You're going to join your own pace, and you should be celebrating because you're doing something that you've never done before, and going out on yourself is a little intimidating, and that takes a lot of bravery. So very proud of you. But anyways, getting yourself done up and dressing up, or doing whatever you do to feel good like you do when you go out on a date, keep that up. Some people I've noticed, they are kind of like, I'm not going to do that. And I do whatever you want, first of all. But I personally think that you should follow the pattern of how you do when getting ready for a date. Like, make it a ritual, make it special. Like, have it to where you lay out your outfit, you have everything picked out, you have your perfect perfume that you pulled, you have it to where you do like a full self-care shower routine. Like, go the extra mile, make it special, because you are deserving of it, and you don't need to have a date that you're going out with another person in order to do all of these nice things for yourself. And I would just personally go out of my way to make it a special ritual, because all the little details just make me feel the best possible. And I just highly, highly recommend it. So doing all of that right there is just a wonderful. Now, for other things when it comes to self-dating. So currently in my journey right now, I am only at the point where I'm comfortable with going out myself to like restaurants, bars, and just taking myself out to like go shopping and do all these other things. But I also think that I'm kind of like at a very close to like touching a new uncomfortableness for me. So for me, I haven't hit this yet, right? But I'm ready to take on more intimidating scenes, and my end goal is to solo travel and do all of that by myself. Now, that is intimidating as fuck. Okay, if anyone has solo traveled, comment below, please. I would love to hear it. But for me, I'm gonna be honest, I've kind of f***ed around and avoided some of that. And by solo traveling alone, I have before, but what I mean by that is like completely cross country by myself. Like, I'm talking going to a place I've never been to before, alone, like going to Italy by myself type thing, which is like totally intimidating. It's one thing to go to yourself, like by yourself to New York, for example, or like California or Florida, whatever the fuck. But I feel like it's a little different when I'm actually going to a country completely by myself, and I'm really, really intimidated by that because of the language barriers, which I'm working on right now. Just the customs, things that I'm not used to, just all of that I'm highly, highly intimidated by. But I'm excited, and I'm using the times now of going out by myself to work on all of this, so that way I can be more prepared, I would say, because I feel like solo dating allows you to be prepared for so many different scenarios. Because starting now, I feel like, one, it's preparing me for going and traveling alone, but I also think that the solo dating stuff is allowing me to be prepared for, like, if I, for example, if I do get up on a date, which I've done before, I got stood up on a date and I said, fuck that, I'm gonna make this a good night, and I did. And I don't think, had I not have put into practice of working on solo dating and taking care of those things for me, I don't feel like I would have done that. I feel like I would have gone to bed I've gone home, gone to bed, cried my eyes out, and that's it. But instead, I took power over that. And I feel like solo dating is preparing you to handle all situations, I believe, when it comes to people, being in different settings, and enjoying your own presence. And at the end of the day, solo dating, one, doesn't have to be going out in public, but I recommend going out in public because it helps you with social skills and being okay with that. Because I love solo dates and doing special things for me at home, but at the end of the day, I don't want to just be at home. I want to do things in public. I want to go out and do things for myself. I want to feel secure enough to go eat alone and not feel weird. I want to do all these things and be comfortable with it, and I don't want to hold myself back from any form of experience. And so by doing all of this stuff, solo dating, I truly think has changed the game for me. And again, full transparency, I'm not like perfect at it. There's moments where I do feel weird. There's moments where I'm like, oh, what the fuck? But I have been working on it more and finding my own groove and my own way of doing things. And it has helped me out a ton. And also, another point that I want to lead to is it has led me to finding out new experiences and finding, things that I truly like. So for example, I have gotten into painting because I found this paint shop and I tried it and I was like, oh my God, I need to come in and like do this. Like I actually need to start actively taking myself out on these solo dates because I think this would be fun. Or I found a library that had the cutest coffee shop and location and I was like, oh my gosh, I can take myself out here and I can come read and sip on like multiple iced coffees, and that would be so nice. Or, oh my gosh, I found this hiking trail and I've never done that before, but like I should because I want to do it. I just start finding out all these things that I like to do, that I want to do, or I pass a location that I want to try. I just keep exploring places in my own way, which I love, because one thing that is very prominent memory to me is when I wanted to do certain things when it comes to dating. One, I always planned the dates, so it wasn't really fun for me. But two, certain things that I really wanted to do were really dissed on by some ex people, and it wasn't fun then. Or when I was getting ready, for example, I was taking too long, getting annoying, or if I wanted to dress up, it was irritating, right? So now with me solo dating, I am able to find the locations that I want. No one is bitching and complaining at me for wanting to get dressed up or do these nice things, and no one is holding me back if I want to impulsively do something. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna find someone that wants to impulsively do these fun things with me as well, and I'm not gonna ever let someone dog on me for this shit again. But I am finding out all these new things that I love to do. I'm creating patterns. I am making new connections. I'm making new friends publicly. So that way it's not even awkward anymore, right? Because when I go out more too, I recognize the bartender now at this place, or, oh my gosh, I know that you are at this location, or, hey, this is my favorite waiter at this restaurant. Like I am making new friendships and connections with people that are just awesome acquaintances that I'm used to now. And I love that. It ends up being such a beautiful experience with solo dating, and how much you are able to grow with your communication, being comfortable with your own silence, doing things that you love, and truly experiencing a level of self-discovery that has nothing to do with actually going out on a date with another person. And you start to love your own presence. And that was probably the biggest win for me, is loving doing things on my own. I get excited, actually. Like I genuinely lose my damn marbles. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go to this restaurant. I've never been here before. I'm so excited. And then I'm gonna start a conversation with at least one person tonight, one stranger, because I want to do it and be able to say I was able to just, make a new acquaintance. That's the kind of shit I get excited over now. And I love where I'm at today. Now, again, like I said, I'm intimidated by the idea of traveling and doing that like in a different country. I've warmed up more to the traveling alone, and I do like that a lot. But at the end of the day, I'm still working on these things because I'm taking more steps to doing it. And it's a process, right? It is a process. It's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel a little goofy at first. You're not used to it. But at the end of the day, I recommend this so heavily. It is not weird. I don't care if anyone's like, that's weird. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's a great thing to do. It's wonderful to learn to be comfortable on your own. And the more that you're secure enough to have fun on your own and you know that you can have fun on your own, I feel like the less you're going to depend on other people for those things as well, which I think is a very important lesson to learn. So that is my personal experience when it comes to solo dating and certain things I recommend. Go all out, find out what makes you excited, find out what makes you comfortable, learn to be good with some of the awkwardness, and learn to create your own fun out of the awkwardness. Have conversations with strangers. You have one life to live, dude. You have one life to live. Do not waste it being concerned about other people. Experience things. Embarrass yourself even a little bit. Who gives a fuck? Literally, who gives a fuck? Be like, oh, that was kind of weird. And then be like, well, I did it at least, right? Try everything. Go for it. Trust me, the solo dating stuff is so worth it. And remember, you are valuable, you are amazing, and you're doing good. You're on your own path and journey, and be really, really proud of yourself for taking those steps and getting to where you're at today. So that was it for today's episode, talking about solo dating, how I do it, all these other things. I hope you guys have a wonderful day today. Comment down below your solo dating experience or any tips you have. I'd love to hear about it. I love hearing you guys in the comment section. And yeah, I will see my angels in the next episode. Bye.